Hi! I got a lot to talk about in this video, a lot of important stuff, so I won't waste any time. I'm going to be going over the 10 detailed sculpts I've made, the ones I talked about making in the previous video, some other models, what's happening with my progress in 3D art making, namely retopology, people offering to help with the project, which is just wild, and finally, starting work in Unreal Engine 5. But before I get into all that, someone left a comment on my last video, and I think their message and my response are very important to understand the purpose of this project. So I'd appreciate if you took the time to pause the video and read it. Now on to the Blender stuff. Alright, so like I said in my last video, I intended to make 10 detailed sculpts, which I could then retopologize and start texture painting. And so here are my 10 detailed sculpts. We'll start with this guy, the Fog Strider. And to be clear, these are still not very detailed, and I might add more. Like, for instance, these parts of the legs look a bit odd. They shouldn't be as bendy. They should be more flat, or straight, I would say. So there's lots of things I could add, but this is much better than what I showed in the last video, of course. Before it was just, like, a spider. Now I actually add things. I'm not sure about the feet. Those may change. I do like the rest of it, though. So, as you can see, we still have the eyes on the sides, because these are herbivores. But now we have this large nose, which really fleshes out the face. So the way these guys work is they communicate through odor, like ants do. So they have this thing on their back, which they use to release odors, and this which they use to smell them. I did lots of research on different interesting alien concepts, and I saw this come up and I thought it'd be kind of cool. So here we go. And as you can see, I add these skin folds to make it seem more organic, and now the legs actually emerge from the spider itself. And then they need a special eating mechanism because they can't really like dip their heads down to like eat the vines, the crystal vines they eat. So I gave them this thing, which they use to eat up the crystal vines. And for reproduction, or I guess for, what do you call it, birth, they have these things. This is this kind of gross, I know, but spiders will come out of these. At least that's the lore of it. I saw a cool image of like a frog with a bunch of holes on its back, and so I thought that'd be an interesting concept to incorporate. Then we got the ash frog. Now I love this guy, but I want to be clear. All of these guys I have added temporary colors to. These are all, as you can see from, or you can't see, let me push it into view. These just use materials that are just temporary, just to show you guys what they will kind of look like color-wise. They won't look like this. Some won't even look like this at all. I just wanted to put some color there so it was more interesting to look at. Please don't take too much from the colors though, okay? Just temporary. Once I texture them, it will be completely different. But here's the ash frog. So in the last video, it was mostly finished, but I added to the shape of it, and now the armor part of it drips down and it looks much better. I think it's a really nice looking design. I think it's very appealing. Again, look past the colors. And then we got this thing it uses as a tongue. It'll use this to grab enemies out of, or not enemies, prey out of the sky. It needs these grippers so it can actually grab it, not just lick it, because its prey are almost as big as it, unlike frogs to flies. Do they even eat flies? Who knows? And these claws help them dig into the ground so they can disguise themselves, blah blah blah. There you go. It's got noses too. I don't know if it had a nose before. And here's the glacial snail. I cannot remember if I showcased this in my last video, but this is like my favorite model of all time. I will never get better at this. And here it is again, just in case. Now I'd like to mention I've given up working on the 2 flying creatures for now, as I don't want to learn how to make wings. That's like a pretty advanced thing, I think. So I'm going to wait to work on them later. And also, I think this guy looks really bad. The other one, on the other hand, I did make more progress on. The Whisper Wing is almost entirely complete. It needs some more like details on the body and these legs, and as you can see, it's missing its front legs because those are the ones that have the wings on them. But I think this is a really nice looking design, especially the like double ears and all that. I think it's nice. But again, this does not count as one of the 10 aliens I will be moving forward with. Okay, I don't know why I haven't been numbering these, but this is number 4. This is the Torpeda. Same as before, I just gave it this metallic texture to show how it would look. Didn't have to change anything about this guy. The Geode Beetle hasn't changed much. It has a couple more details. The legs go up now. It's a bit goofy looking because they're so curvy, but this makes more sense rather than the legs being completely flat. I may change him in the future. He's not my favorite, but I think he's nice. Again, temporary colors. This is number 5. Number 6 is a new one, the Tumbler. These guys will appear in the Light Shroom Corridors biome, or the Shroom Corridors, I believe it's called. they kind of work like tumbleweeds. Or is that what they're called? I think so. Yeah. So they have these little suckers which they used to roll around on, and yeah, so that they'll rotate sort of like this. It'll be fun. And these balls will be their eyes. Number 7 is a distant relative of them, the dusters. Now they got teeth, so they can eat things. These will be in the spotted light rays biome. Number 8 is the dart stripe. Again, I don't like these colors, I just wanted to put something there. Not much has changed. I'm not sure about this detail. This is supposed to be something they used to like stick onto trees better. Like a sucker kind of, or like a suction cup, I guess is the right word. I don't know about it because it looks pretty odd, you know? Yeah. And then I had these 2 tongues which they'll use to scrape food off of their large tooth, which I think is a neat detail. But the rest is the same. Number 9 is the air roll, just exactly how it was last time. Don't need to do anything to this guy till I get to the texture painting phase. And lastly, we have the beak salamander. Temporary colors, again, but I think this guy is very appealing to look at. It's a bit easier to see if I turn off colors, so there you go. So it has this beak, this sideways beak, which it will use to eat the bach nuts, if you remember those guys. It has these 2 noses that look like eyes, a flat head because it's cute looking, and it's got these feelers because it doesn't have eyes and needs a way to, you know, feel around. I think it kind of looks like earbuds or something. I think this is really cute looking. Fun guy, I think. So there are all 10 of the models, but I have a few more things to showcase. First off, I made my first attempt at read topology. Now let me separate these 2 models. I took away some of the details so it'd be easier to work with. How do I do this? There we go. So this is my first attempt at read topology. It is bad, but I did it. Okay, I did it once. I'll get better. So here you go. Obviously it's mirrored, but you can see I made some attempts, okay? And that's the best I can say. I definitely tried. It's not good, but I spent like hours and hours working on this. And hey, the eye's nice, for the most part. And the mouth is not too bad. I will learn. Knowing what I know about topology now that I did in the last video is really... I learned a lot. That's what I'll say. And next time I try, I'll do much better. I'm planning on buying a add-on called the Quad Remesher, which can do most of this work for me, so it will save me a lot of time, and I won't have to become a master at the skill. But knowing the basics I know now, after making this horrible monstrosity, and the basics I will learn moving forward as I continue to practice, I will be able to touch up the read topologies made by Quad Remesher, and make my own when needed. But I also have a new plant, the Moonshade Fern. I'm in love with this, I'm sorry. I think this is really nice looking. I'm not going to go into all the biology because this is already going to be a long video, but I think this is the most alien thing I've made. Maybe it's a bit too, like, cliche as an alien thing, but I didn't use any reference images for this. This is all my noggin, so I'm pretty happy with it. And then one more plant is the Lava Lotus. Let me turn on Shade Smooth so it looks a bit better, and let's up that subdivision. There you go. So again, temporary color, same with the Moonshade Fern, but these will appear in the Molten Steppe biome, if I make this game, to be clear. Who knows? But there it is. So this is like pollen or whatever, and you got like the leaves and stuff. Again, it'll all be texture painted. But the nice thing about this one and the Moonshade Fern is these both were made without using sculpting. So they are already they have a very good topology, at least for the most part. So this guy is literally just this. Let me turn off Shade Smooth so it's easier to see. There, look at that. Look at that. It's not great topology, but it is very simple. You see? So I don't have to do too much if I want to make this, if I want to texture paint this. I don't think. These are overlapping, or not overlapping, but they're very close to overlapping, so that might cause issues, I'm not sure. But all I know is, this is definitely better than a sculpted model, you know? That's something at least. And I made sure it uses all quads as well, so there's that. It's also a plant, so it doesn't need to be perfect. And last thing for Blender is the Seacon. This is obviously not complete. I made this in like 30 minutes, but these guys are gonna rush around the spotted light rays biome. Very fast, very, not scary, but very like stupid, scary kind of, you know, the vibe. I don't have, this is just a material I found, or like a model for an eye, and then I like painted over the pupil because I thought it looked a bit goofy. You did not want to see what it looked like before. But yeah, this obviously, I'll make my own eye and everything, but they'll be really cool looking, I think. So far, this is a good design. I think they're based off of what are they called? The Watchers from Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West, I think, and based off of dinosaurs, raptors, I think. So there you go. So yeah, 3 people have offered to help me with this game just like in the past 2 weeks. It's been incredible. I don't want to go into too many specifics because I don't want to, like, you know, give away personal information or their names or anything like that, but 3 people have contacted me on Discord asking either for like resources that they could use to learn things, and offering that once they learn those resources they can help, or just saying, hey, I can do this thing for you. It's been awesome. One person offered to make concept art, another offered to help me with Blender and things like that once they learn the tools, and the last person offered to make the entire soundtrack. I believe I featured them in one of the videos already because they commented in like I think the first video I made. And yeah, they messaged me, they contacted me, and they showed me some samples, so I'm going to play one right now. So there you go. Pretty incredible. I'm not going to say any more about them, but I am so grateful for their help and the other 2 people who offered to help. And if you want to, please contact me, because I'm just one guy who wants to make a thing. I don't know if I can, but any help makes it much more likely I can. So that would be incredible. And it's already incredible. Especially if you know anything about Unreal Engine, because that's going to be the hardest thing for me to learn. It's the biggest by far, so if you know anything about it, please contact me. Thank you so much. Now, I have to make clear that I want this game to be its own thing, not just be linked to Subnautica, but I also want to be transparent about where I am drawing inspiration from. As part of that, I thought comparing features to Subnautica and showing what has been emphasized and de-emphasized as a way of gauging complexity would be a neat exercise. So I quickly made this graph which showcases all the major features of both games and where I have decided to encourage and expand the system, and where I have simplified or shrunk a system, represented through a point system. This graph is obviously very simple and also very dumb, but I hope this makes it clear that the game is not attempting to enlarge its scope too big. One thing this sheet can lead you to believe is that the games have very similar gameplay loops, and I promise you it is designed very differently, but to save time, I encourage you to watch the first video I made on the game instead of recapping it here. While they have similar features, the gameplay loop that encourages and utilizes these features is quite different. One last thing before we get into Unreal, I forgot about this. I have made many improvements to the Trello. Obviously, one of them is that now things that are partially modeled or fully modeled, which there aren't any yet, have their work-in-progress models attached to their card. There you go. You see the straw pod, you got, okay, I don't know what just happened. You have the equipment, all of it. It's pretty neat. Another thing is, I now have reference images for almost everything that does not have a model. These will help concept artists and just other people like you guys visualize what I intend for things to look like. Now, we also have tags now. I tag things that are modeled partially, things that can be changed without impacting the gameplay or impacting anything that I really want to keep, you know? And then I have things that are a bit out there scientifically that could be changed if the opportunity presents itself. And then I also have a fully modeled thing. I wouldn't really call this fully modeled, so I might take this off, but you get the idea. These things are a bit more complete than the other stuff. I've also made multiple changes to how the game will work. These are not as big as some other changes I mentioned in the past. I've fleshed out lots of creatures, including the stalactite serpent, which had nothing before, but because of the way I fleshed it out, I had to add a algae to this place. Same thing for the coral. Because of the way I made coral work, I had to change this one to chloral, which is so cool. This is going to have so many uses for the game if I make it. And then I had to add 2 flying creatures for the coral to eat. And so these are very simple. We have baby fly swarms, and then we have a mega aeroplankton. This one might not be scientifically plausible, so let's just click scientifically implausible. There we go. Oh, also I have recipe needed. I don't know if I'm going to use this, or I will use it, but I don't have to use it right now. There we go. And what other changes are there? Yes, I've added a couple new things to the building system. These are some really cool changes. So, with the new chloral, you can create a pesticider, which will keep flying creatures away from your base. Not sky beasts, though. And you also have a new thing you can make called a sedation trap. These will be used to sedate ground creatures, small ones, so you can scan them. I think that's a really neat idea. Oh my god, another huge thing. I'm sorry, I'm excited for this. I forgot all about this when I made the script for the video. The loose script. I changed the way the UV mode worked. Before, let me get to it. Before, the way the UV mode worked is that it would just slowly deal damage to creatures. That's not good, right? We don't want to hurt the creatures. My whole idea is the combat, quote unquote combat system, is around countering using your light, like stunning them or evading, not directly hurting them. The only way you can do that is with the Tachyon Railgun, which is very limited ammo, and that's a like get out of jail free card. So my idea is the UV mode, as you can see, allows you to track the trails left by creatures. So you can use these to find things more easily, and maybe the trails could be color coded, so the player can know if they're seeing a, like if it's green, then that means that you're tracking a non-hostile creature. So this can be used to find where creatures are, and then you can set up sedation traps. I think this adds a lot to how tracking would work, and I want that to be a big part of the game, so I think that works really nice. Back to the buildings. This I love. My idea is, because I really want to encourage scanning in every way possible, is that each time you scan a creature, you gain a new decoration based off of them. And so, for here, instance, I have, like, you get a carpet with the Startha, that's the Mothman creature. You could get a carpet with its eyes on it, or, as I say on here, a statue of it. Or the Barafin could have a rug with its face on it. Those are just simple ideas, you know? I think it'd be so fun and charming and easy to add, too. That doesn't seem too hard, from what I know. So there you go. Now the big changes, actually there's one not big change. I want to add ramps. This would just allow you to have verticality onto your base without having to make it so you can build things, so that you can actually build other levels. Basically ramps would just like be placed on your flat platforms, and they would allow you to reach another level, but those allow you to reach the roofs, not to build extra platforms and continue to build it up. I want to have a flat building system, because I'm sorry, I do not want to learn how to make a whole entire building system where you can like have multiple levels. All that sounds like a ton of work. So a flat one sounds a lot easier, but ramps still give you some verticality. Now the big addition I want to add is land outposts. While I want you to be primarily and almost entirely on the surface, on the sky, I mean, the problem with the sky is you don't have to work with the environment, and that sucks. That makes it less engaging and less or more uniform. So what about land outposts? And let me click on the card so you can read it yourself. You can only have a couple of them, and you can place them wherever you want, but you have to use energy channelers, and they're expensive, and you have to use multiple if it's, for instance, in a cave, because they can only channel energy in a straight line. So these would have to channel all the way up to your sky base. They would also drain lots of energies. This would be an incredible way of having outposts that don't break the game, don't allow you to colonize the planet, because they don't want that. Wouldn't be too hard, because I would just limit it to a 3x3 square, so it wouldn't be super big. And it'd be so cool. Wouldn't it be so fun to be in this little cube, or not cube, you know, this little base, little tent, and this whole like dark landscape? It'd be awesome, and it will give you a way to refuel your energy. I guess that's not the right word. Recharge up your energy, I guess, as well as get away from danger, while not having to go all the way up to your base, but still requiring effort to be put in. And this would also encourage you to change your base once it has been finished. Or not finished. It makes for a less stagnant base. Because for instance, let's say you get to the 8, or is it 8? How many did I say? I forgot. But let's say you get to the limit on the amount of outposts you can have. But you want to go to a scary place. you can destroy one of your outposts and place one in a new scary place. So it adds like a layer of like dynamic changes to your sky base, which I really like. So again, I might not add this, but I think it'd be really, really fun. So I want to put this down here. I know this is all a ton of work. Please, don't tell me that, because I am well aware. I am a bit of a, yeah. Okay, doesn't matter. Next thing, we got a couple more things to go through. Okay, one more thing. Solar panels. I made them work better. I am thinking of adding 3 different types of solar panels. These would all work better in different temperature or different temperatures of the air. So this would encourage the players to not just build one huge glob of solar panels, you know? Because that's what at least I did in Subnautica when it comes to whatever they're called, the reinforcement plates you can put on walls. I just made like a huge like glob of them in one area so I can make a tunnel. I had this idea of making a glass tunnel that went all the way from the starting area in Subnautica all the way into the lava base, or the lava area. It was insane. I almost completed it, but the game started crashing. But I don't want people to do that. I want them to be encouraged to place solar panels in different areas. I think it'd be really fun. So there you go. That's all for the building changes, but I have one more thing. This is just an idea. Literally just an idea. I do not think I'll add it when the game launches, but I have an idea for how I could make caves and water work without in any way stepping on Subnautica's territory. I think I come up with an idea that works with the systems in the game that'd be very unique and interesting and something I haven't seen in the game before that I would love to see in maybe mine. So let me bring that up. Okay, here it is. My idea is there would be caves in the Morass Crater biome, giving it a further use, that'd be sealed off when the game launches. Again, please don't expect this. I'm just saying an idea. And later on, I could clear up those caves and have chlorals there. And the way chlorals work is, I forgot to mention this, you have to make a gas mask to go up to them, and you can harvest chloroform from them. Is it clear to you that I did not plan this at all? So yeah, you'd be able to harvest chloroform, and you'd be able to make a gas mask to do that. So you'd have to create this gas mask, meaning you can't go there at the beginning of the game. But later on, you can go into these caves, and there'd be more transparent creatures, more bioluminescence, and there'd be big caves with water in them. Big, like, lakes of water in these caves. And my idea is you'd have to create a new vehicle called a raft. I think you've heard of rafts before, you know. So you have to go on this little, like, high-tech raft and go across the water, and you can go into it. So you can only see the scary shadows underneath. And you'll have to, like, avoid, obviously, you know, hostile creatures. But my idea is this can work with the already existing systems in the game in a really neat way. What if there's a really, really scary hostile creature in the water, and obviously the game encourages you to scan all the creatures? What if you can create a outpost right next to the cave? It'd be very hard to do because it would require lots of energy channelers. But what if you create an outpost there and place a spotlight on it? Then you have to bait the creature by going in the raft and going near it. Then when it jumps out of the water to kill you, the spotlight will stun it and you can scan it. That works so well with the systems already in the game, and it'd be so fun. And so you'd have to use the raft to cross these big lakes. I think it'd be such a cool idea, and it'd be beautiful to see this, like, blue, glowing, reflective water in caves. I just think it'd be such a fun idea. So there you go. Don't expect me to do this, or any of this, you know, but just an idea. Okay, that was a lot. I think I'm done now. But if you want to check out the Trello, I fleshed out a lot of more creatures, like the thunderbug, the probably about everything, the crystal vines, everything has been fleshed out a lot more. So if you're interested, you can go check it out. And leave comments too. You can leave comments in the cards and tell me what you think about the ideas. If you know anything about science, do that, because I don't. That's it. Back to Unreal Engine. Sorry about that. Finally, here's the big thing. I've started working in Unreal Engine. Now, I know in the first video I did on the game, I did showcase just me, like, messing around, like, some stuff I had worked on, and that's this. You saw this before. I haven't done much yet, but here's the problem. When I made this, I basically knew nothing. And because of that, I couldn't make anything on my own. This is basically nothing. I found a tutorial on how to make, like, the sun move, or, like, how to make, like, a day-and-night cycle. Like, the fog is just, or the clouds are just, like, a material. This is one of the default materials. Like, this is genuinely nothing. These are just some, like, simple models I made from Blender. This may look cool, but I knew nothing while doing this. This isn't like I'm not showing off any skill here. But in the video, I also showed I had made an inventory. This was done with a tutorial. The problem was the tutorial made lots of errors, and as it, or I did, or the tutorial, probably a mix of both. And as it went along, those errors became more present, and eventually I could not work with the system anymore. So, I made the correct decision of stopping working on Unreal Engine, and this was just like a week ago, stopping working on the inventory to learn Unreal Engine, because I was doing all this without knowing anything, basically. I had watched like 8-hour-long tutorials, but I still didn't know anything. You just cover like, here, do this, do this, do this, not what does all this do. So I found an incredible tutorial series. I'm gonna link in the description, and over the course of 3 days, I watched all 19 videos. It was 7 hours, and now I actually understand the fundamentals of Unreal Engine, which is incredible. I don't have much to show for it at all, but I actually understand what I was doing before and how to do things now. That's my goal now, to learn Unreal Engine, to begin making things, to prototype, just to practice in general, anything. That's what I'm going to be working on first and foremost. That will probably mean that these devlogs will slow down, but this stuff is like the really, really important stuff to learn. So I hope you give me patience in that regard. Also, just want to say, depending on how well I end up doing, I may pause work on the project in Unreal to instead do some mini projects to gain more experience. We'll see. I will say, my last project, the Ben 10 one that populates most of my channel, was like the second game I made in that engine, and I just worked on it for 3 years till I liked it, so I don't think mini projects are my thing, but we'll see. Now, I do have one thing to show, and this isn't something flashy or interesting, but something to show I'm learning, I'm able to do things. Now, you may see this weird bar here. Let me show you what this does, okay? This is the cable chute, or a prototype. This is what the player will use to get onto the surface, or at least something like this will be used. Now, let me show you what it does right now. As you can see, there's that red line. That's a line trace. This thing, I'll drop down. Well, it's dark, so it's hard to see. Let me go into simulate mode. This thing drops down all the way to the ground floor to the exact length it needs to go down to. Now, I can show this better. Again, this is like nothing to most people, but to me, this is showing that I can actually figure out what I'm doing. Here, let me show it this way. This will be clear. Watch. Okay, it's going slow. I don't know why. Oh, I know why it's going so slow. It's because it's set to do this over a period of 60 seconds, regardless of how long it should take. Like, it's adjusting the length to the speed. It's hard to explain, but look, it's actually going all the way down. It traced a line, it calculated that point, and took in its starting point, and is able to stretch by that pivot point up there. I know this is so slow. I know. I'm sorry. I should have made it a dynamic length. But you get the idea, okay? I'm gonna speed up the video real quick. There, you see, it stopped. It stopped right when it hit the ground. This is so cool that I was able to do this, right? Like, this is not something you can look up a tutorial for. I mean, I looked up some, like, tutorials on things adjacent to it, like how to dynamically, like, stretch an object by a pivot point, but I had to take in my own knowledge that I had already learned from watching this tutorial series, put it into here, and then I had to animate it. The tutorial I watched didn't have anything to do with animating. I had to use, like, a lerp thing. Let me show you. This is actually something tangible. Something at all that I made on my own, and to me that's a big deal. It's not something flashy, but it's something to start with. Look. Look at that, the timeline. And things are labeled and stuff. Look, you got things doing things. Whoa. 70,000, that's a big number. Why is it so big? I don't know. Look at a line trace. Now, some things I am already pretty familiar with because line traces are very similar to the gadget within Dreams, which is the engine I made my first game in the Ben 10 game. In that game, they're called laser scopes. So I'm very familiar with a couple things in Unreal, and so that's cool, but for the most part, a lot of this is new. But things like rigging and scopes, those I'm very familiar with, so that's definitely gonna help. But look, I did something, okay? I just want that to be clear. I figured out how to do something. And being able to figure out something means I can figure out more things, hopefully. I also started coding a system for you to go down the cable chute. It doesn't work right now, but I'm gonna bring it to Reddit and ask them. They might be able to help. But right now the issue is, well, I can show you what happens right now when you try and go down it. Right now it's just bound to C. If I do it, it just like locks my position, and every time I click C, it makes me go down slightly further for some reason. I think this is because each time I click C, it's actually, why am I talking about code? Do you guys, you can like leave the video now if you want. You don't have to be here. You can go. You got the gist of it. But I'm gonna go into the code because this is like I'm passionate about this. I'm starting to figure things out. So I'm gonna go into this. But thank you for watching. If you want to leave now, I don't blame you. But definitely join the Discord if you want to give me any feedback. Check the Trello, and thank you so much. Okay, now back to the dumb code. So this is me trying to build the system. I put this in a function eventually, but right now it's just like this. So the problem is, I believe what's happening is, it will only activate the timeline each time you trigger the input. I think that's what's happening, and that's a problem because this right here, this location before shoot display, is also resetting each time. Meaning it's like it's messing up because this is supposed to be one set location, but it's not, because each time you press the input button, it resets it to the location you're at now, which is slightly lower. I'm not sure exactly why this is happening. I assumed with the timeline it would just, like, once you click play, it'll just play. I'm not sure why that's not happening. It should be updating the actor location every frame. I don't understand. I even put on teleport so collision doesn't activate. I don't understand what's wrong with it, but that's where it really comes in. I will figure it out. But look, I was able to make a system that would detect if you're on the cable shoot, and it would do it by casting, so that's cool, right? Again, this might make no sense if you don't know anything about Unreal. If you don't, you probably already left, but still, I tried something, I'm learning, and hey, not knowing this is kind of cool, because I'm gonna know eventually, right? When I ask people, like, what's wrong with this, I'll learn something new. That's cool. Like, this stuff is so important, and I'm so glad I'm learning this, and it's gonna take me a long time, so these videos will probably slow down, but I'm trying, and that's cool. That's all I gotta say. Alright, I think that's the end of the video. I hope I didn't disappoint you. I hope I didn't like hype up the Unreal Engine stuff too much, because I know I don't have much to show. I mean, I can show the inventory stuff I showed last time. So I started implementing some. These are placeholder icons. These are just ones that were in Unreal. I've started implementing a saving system, trying to. The problem is that it messes with the storage system, so I don't know what's going on. One day I'll figure it out. But for now, I just gotta practice. And I hope you give me the grace I will need. That's the end of the video. Thank you so much. Goodbye.